Hello and welcome to day 5, our final day where we put all of the pieces together. Today, we're really going to talk about the creation or elimination of habits, thoughts, and behaviors in 90 days. And over the last 5 days, or the last 4 days, technically, I've taught you all the different pieces. And now it's just how to put it together and how to do it. And yes, is there more to learn? Of course. Like I'm teaching you what the pieces are, but no, in 40 minutes, we're not going totally deep. But you know what all the pieces are. It's just how to put it together to actually create that change. So I'm going to start with 2 questions. First, over the last 2 days, we didn't do lives. And I know a lot of you in different time zones are not doing live anyway. But my question is, was it harder to show up? Was it harder to watch the video? Was it harder to participate when you knew I wasn't waiting for you?
So for me, I definitely didn't do it during my work hours, but I did make it a point in the evenings to come back and watch it.
Good.
Because I knew you'd be asking.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Patty is going to make it. There we go.
Great, great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thank you for the honesty in that, because you knew I'd be asking. Because I think so many of us want to think and believe like, sure, I'm an adult. I'm going to do everything that's good for me all the time. But we just don't. Accountability is real. We need accountability buddies. Hey, Patty, good to see you. We need accountability buddies. We need that accountability. Everybody does. All humans do. And I think the first thing that I want to let you all know is that's normal. You're supposed to need accountability. I think sometimes in our culture, the belief that like this rugged individualism and I'm going to do it all on my own and I don't need anybody. There's like this pervasive belief that the stronger you are and the tougher you are and the more you can do it on your own, like the better you are. No, we are a pack animal. Since the beginning of time, we've lived in clans or tribes or packs. Like we need each other and we need each other to push each other. We just do. So whether that is setting a reminder on your phone and just using timers to remind yourself to do something, whether that's signing up for like a daily email. I do the daily Marianne Williamson Course in Miracles emails, whether it's having a therapist and having regular appointments, having a coach. When I coach with people, I send people a weekly email and then I touch base with them on Voxer just for that accountability. Like you're getting the email on Monday, you're going to get a call from me on Friday. It inspires you to read it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So first thing is, I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're like, why can't I do this on my own? We all need accountability. Just let that go. Second thing I want to say is to expect failure. And a lot of people, again, don't talk about that. There is this belief out there that if we want something, we're going to shift our habit. Just stop overeating. Just stop smoking. Just give up alcohol. Just whatever it is. And it doesn't work that way. And we've talked a lot, especially on the first day, about the subconscious mind. 90 to 99% of our brain's operating system is subconscious. So no, it's not just a matter of choosing to do things differently. You have to work at it and you have to fail. And when you expect failure, I think it makes things more accessible. If you look at the stats around New Year's resolutions, they're shocking. Something like, and I forget the exact numbers, but something like 95, 98% of people make New Year's resolutions. And by February, something like 95, 98% of people have given up on those resolutions. And that's for 2 reasons. First, because people don't set up accountability buddies. They think they can do it on their own. They're not going to tell anybody about it and they don't get help. And then second, I mean, tell me if you know this, when you fail, you give up. Like, how many times in your life have you said, I'm going to go on a diet or I'm going to do something, and then donuts go by at work and you eat it? So instead of being like, I ate one donut, I'm still going to eat a healthy dinner, you're like, well, I blew today. I'm going to have ice cream. I'm going to have, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we embrace failure, when we know that we're going to mess up, it's not like, well, I'll start again next year. I'll start again tomorrow. It's like, yeah, I expect to fail and I expect to fail a lot. And that's okay. It's part of the process. So when I work with people on creating a habit is created in about 30 days. If you can do a behavior consistently or stop doing a behavior for 30 days, it becomes a habit. It gets ingrained in that subconscious mind. My hair's driving me nuts right there. But I don't do 30-day programs. I do a 90-day program because it takes 90 days to get 30 days of consistency. 90 days to get 30 days of consistency because you need to prepare. You need to try. You need to fail. You need to realize this doesn't work for me. You try something else. You're like, that worked better, but it's still not perfect. You adjust that and you start again. Like they're not really false starts, but they're kind of false starts. You need those false starts to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. And when you build that in your mind, you're like, yeah, I'm still progressing. Now I know that this doesn't work. Now I know that I need to tweak that. Now I know this. So by the end of 90 days, you know what works for you. And then you get your 30 days of consistency. And then your new habit, thought, or belief is either eliminated or in place. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I hope you feel a little bit like the pressure's off. Because I think so often when we talk about like, I'm going to fix my marriage, I'm going to stop thinking, it's harsh. It's yes, no, good, bad, right, wrong, I failed. Nope. It's a desire and you're moving into the desire and it spirals. Life is all a spiral and you spiral around and you try and you fail and you shift. So those are kind of those first two myths that I want to bust. You can't do it alone and you can't just do it by leaning in. Expect to fail. You are learning. Okay, let me see. In that journey of figuring things out, the behaviors that help you create the habit are the behaviors that we worked on this week. First thing we do is we identify, what is it that I want? I want to feel confident. I want to take care of my health. You have to identify it. And that was setting the intention. That was the first day. The second thing is unify the whole brain, the conscious desire, which you said, unifying it with the subconscious. And that was using the hypnosis. Day 2, what we did was we used the meditation to slow all the thoughts, to slow all the reasons why this isn't going to work for me, and to make a choice. If you think back to your partner's infidelity, it all goes back to a choice. Your choice really determines your destiny. And the power of choice is where it's all at. So that's why you meditate. It calms you down and you feel better, but it gives you the capacity to make better choices. So you have identified, you've unified, you're using meditation to slow yourself down to make a better choice. Then that next day, the fourth day, yesterday, we talked about moving, somatic movement. And when you talk about moving through resistance, moving to a better place, you literally move. You move to move through resistance. If you're feeling the resistance and it's compressing and it's shutting you down and it's stressing you out, that resistance is going to crush you. So it's moving through resistance. It's just like yesterday. You're embodying it. This is the resistance. This is the shutdown. This is the failure. You're moving through it by shifting it, by brushing it off of you, by clearing it like, yeah, and releasing it. So move through resistance is literally moving. And then that last step is repeating this and getting really good at repeating and figuring out what doesn't work. And whoops, I didn't calm myself. I made the wrong choice. Whoops, I let this crush me. And repeating this cycle until you get to the place where you're not repeating this cycle and your failures become fewer and farther between because you've built up a new habit. And then along the way, you're using that meditation again and the hypnosis to instill that new habit in the brain, that anchor. You're still anchoring it in your intellectual word, your physical, and then that spiritual, emotional breath. So everything is building on top of each other. And I'm going to pause. Patty, I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to see if you have any questions about how this works, because it's really simple. It's just becoming consistent with these simple tools, knowing when and how to apply them so you can keep getting to that next level. So let me know what you're thinking or what you're curious about.
Oh, I'm not on mute. Okay. No, I feel it, like you said, it builds on top of each other, and I enjoy the way you progress us, into each step. It makes sense. You explain it. There's a logical part of my head, like what, so it's not like you said, just do it. You have to understand it. And as they say, you have to trust the process, And so I know this has been a really good week for me. I cannot say that. I mean, for a long, long time, I've not been able to say that. And I just keep wondering, oh, when's the other foot? And I'm like, stop it. No, there's no other foot that's going to drop. You're good,
Yes.
And as long as I maybe even just do the hypnosis or some meditation, I'm going to try to implement that. Like you said, expect to fail. I'm going to try to implement that into a daily, because I think that helped. And I never, you hear about it and I'm like, yeah, but you explained why it helps. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try that. And, this week has been really a good week for me. And I thank you.
Good, you're welcome. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evelyn, do you have questions about the process or how this makes sense or how it all works together?
No specific questions. Just I appreciated learning about the movement, and I loved in my office space, my closet door has mirrors on it. So I was just dancing in here, right, last night along with you, and it was just fun. And I thought, like doing it, and I thought, oh my gosh, I haven't moved like this in a while. And it was very, very just liberating. And so it was fun. So I have really appreciated that. And then hearing you say, there's, I don't know, you mentioned 30 of these, right? Because you've got all of these emotions. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? There's so much more. So that was fun.
Good, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm going to say a little bit more about movement. So I'm glad that you went that. Humans are the only animal. There's some debate. Sometimes they're thinking some animals can keep rhythm, but we all are innately born with rhythm. And yes, some people say like, I have no rhythm. Babies bounce to music. Toddlers dance around and rock. We are all syncopated to sound. If you look back through the indigenous cultures, there's dance. There's the war dance. There's the rain dance. We move our bodies. And our society is so shut down. we're tied to our laptops, we're tied to our screens, we sit in our cars, we sit on the trains, like we're not moving. And it really does clog us up. And when we have emotional upset, you feel heavy and you feel dark. Like you just do, it crumples you. And truly, movement is the only way to break out of that. You can't really do it up here. You need to start moving the bodies. And it's fun. It is fun. And I encourage people, like when they do my 90-day program, and yes, there's 30 different emotion specific things, which is fun because if you're like, I am just so depressed, or I'm just so lonely, or I'm just like you can go to that and the song connects to that emotion. And then if you're like, I don't even know what to do, you can follow me. And then after you've done it a couple of times, you're a little more liberated. And then you're like, I don't have to totally follow her. I trust that my body knows. And then it sets you free to start picking your own music, or just to be like, wah, in the middle of the day, let something go. And the other piece of that, in addition to this 30 somatic, emotion-specific somatic processing, I also have 30 5-minute like fitness type videos. Because if you're feeling weak, do something that makes you strong. Even if it's just, sometimes I do them with weights, sometimes I do them like, with the cans of beans. Do something that makes you strong physically when you feel weak. If you're feeling stuck and inflexible, pick up a stretching one because you're creating flow. Do in your body what you need to have happen in your mind. And that's huge. If you're heartbroken and your heart hurts, maybe some gentle cardio to get your heart beating again, to stimulate that heart energy. And I want you to start thinking in terms of that. Problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. I'm achy. What helps with that? I'm compressed. What helps with that? Because we're so good at overcomplicating things. You know what I mean? Like we're so good at overcomplicating things. You don't need to work out for an hour. That's not what it's about. If you're feeling weak, push something. Do some push-ups. Do some lunges. Like do something that inspires you to feel strong. And it's not like, well, I can't do that. You can always find something. You could always find something. If you feel shut down, how do you open up? And it's so simple and it's so powerful and it's so easy. It's just that that's not what we've been taught to do. We've been taught like you need this big, powerful, expensive, long-term solution and you're going to have to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not that hard. It's just that we haven't been taught to access the wisdom that's in our body or the wisdom that's in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And just the reality of failure. It's not failure. Kids learning to walk, they fall down 100 times. Learning to ride a bike, you fall down 100 times. Like the learning process requires failure. And I love the acronym of FAIL for, and I'm not sure if you've heard it or not, but it's first attempt in learning. Ooh. Isn't that a good one? And they say, research says that it takes about 50 times of trying something before you feel comfortable at it. It takes about 50 times cooking a meal before you're like, yeah, I got this. It takes 50 times sitting down at the piano, picking up a tennis racket, whatever it is, about 50 times before you feel comfortable. Not mastery, but comfortable. And again, if it's making oatmeal out of the box, that's a lot easier than making, a complex recipe that your grandma's homemade pasta with all this fancy stuff. but it's about 50 times before you feel comfortable with it. So when you're thinking, I'm not feeling very empowered, I'm feeling really shut down, what are 50 things that you can do? Or what is one thing that you can do that makes yourself feel stronger? And then realizing I'm going to have to speak up about 50 times before I feel comfortable speaking up. I'm going to have to set a boundary about 50 times before I feel comfortable setting up boundaries. And you can even check that off. If you're a list keeper, you can do that. Because then it turns it more into a game. And it's not about you not doing it right. You know, you have to move through your 50 times. I was in a coaching program once, and the challenge was to go out and collect 100 no's, to keep asking for things. And it didn't matter what the things were. Can I have a discount on that? Can I, whatever, take your parking space? Can I, like, just to get comfortable stretching yourself to ask for things until you collected enough no's. And sure enough, by the end, you're like, oh, I'll ask for anything. Because I'm okay hearing no. It doesn't, it's not a reflection of me. It didn't make the relationship awkward. Because the answer 100% of the time, if you don't ask, is no. So you might as well ask, see what happens. And I know we're here because of affair recovery, but this is the process for anything. You know, weight loss, stop smoking, quit nagging, learn French. Like, this is the process to create any habit or eliminate any habit. Yeah.
I feel like I want to test you on that. I mean,
Please.
you know, it's like 50 times. It's like, okay, so part of me has been wanting to learn Portuguese. It's like, okay, so if I do it twice a day, so in a month, I should have a better, like you said, a more comfort with it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm going to try that, because part of me is like, yeah, that's not going to happen, but maybe, you know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
open to it.
Yeah, try it. And like I said, if it's opening up your pack of instant oatmeal and stirring it up, you're going to get comfortable with that a lot quicker than doing a complicated recipe.
Oh,
But yeah, it is. It's about 50 times before you get comfortable with something. So yeah, test it out and then let me know. And my story around that, I grew up dancing. I love movement. Movement is how I process. I danced my whole life. I've taught fitness since 1988. I can get up in front of anybody. I can move my body. You can look at my body. Like, I'm fine. Like, I am embodied. I am in my body. But for me, using my voice, I was uncomfortable. And when I did my yoga certification, one of the things that we had to do was stand up and chant. And we had to do this chant, breaking down the om syllable, doing an ah, oh, and elongating it. And they wanted us to do it on different pitches. Can I tell you the anxiety that built up in me? Like, I can't sing on pitch. And I have to break down and do this because we had to resonate. They're like, vibrate it here, and then vibrate it here, and then vibrate it here, and then vibrate it here. Are you freaking kidding me? You're telling me to stand up in front of all these people and start chanting? And there was such sensation. There was such stress. There was such anxiety. I started, you know, that wheel in your brain where you're like, I don't really want to be certified to teach yoga anyway. This is a bad idea. I'm not going to, you can't make, like, you know how that is? Yeah. It started really ramping up in me. And I can't tell you how bad I probably sounded the first few times, but we had to do it several times over that weekend. And I did notice my level of anxiety would go down. And we maybe only did it 5-10 times that weekend. But after that weekend, I went back to my class because I teach a regular class. And I'm like, I'm going to teach you chanting. And I told him, it terrifies me, but I really want to push through this. And knowing that rule of 50, I was like trying to get through it. And I chanted with my class the beginning and the end of each class because I really wanted to push through. And now I truly am at the point I'm like, I can on or off key and I don't really care. But that was high stress for me. That was really high anxiety. And around that, we've talked a little bit about intuition too. And I sent you that video on like connecting your gut and your heart and your head. If you're feeling huge anxiety around something, ask yourself, what is this about? Because maybe it's a part of you that is trying to keep you safe. In which case, then you can ascertain, is this really something that's going to keep me safe? Is this true? Or maybe it's just truly not where you need to be. And I want you to start feeling in and making those determinations for yourself. Is this the relationship I need to be in? Is this the friendship I need to pursue? Especially with therapists, coaches, clergy. Just because somebody is an expert doesn't mean that they're the right expert for you. And I really encourage you to always drop in and just test that for yourself. The last chapter in my book, I talk about trusting your truth. And the story I tell there is a dentist experience that I had. Everything in my body was telling me what this dentist was doing was wrong. And my mind kept overriding it. He's the expert. He's the expert. He's the expert. You're just nervous. He's the expert. Well, as it turns out, no, he was not the expert. I have like the receding gums, and they were putting these like fillers, like the veneer on the top to help with the sensitivity. And that's what he was supposed to be doing. But he was drilling out my tooth and putting in a cavity, like the cavity filling, which then causes you to lose your tooth because he's taken out the whole top of the tooth. And the whole time I'm feeling this horrible stress, like my body knew this was wrong, but I kept overriding it with my mind. He's the expert. He's the expert. He's the expert. And that's especially true when somebody knows more than we do. We trust their authority. And just ask yourself, what's really going on there? Because if somebody or something or some situation is really right for you and the person that you're with really has integrity and cares about you, they're okay with you walking away, getting more information and coming back. Whether it's a marriage, a friendship, needing to take time away from work, breaking away, if somebody is not honoring a request that you have of some distance and some space, it's not always healthy. And just in the same way that I want you to release the pressure on yourself that I have to do it all by myself and I have to be perfect, I also really encourage you to release that compulsion to make decisions and have to be bound by him and have to stick with it and have to see something through. Because when I talked about that spiral journey, things evolve. And what you need on this point of the spiral is a little bit different from what you need at all the other points on the spiral. And just because it's okay for you right now doesn't mean it's going to be okay for you in the future. And that's good and that's normal. And we're so good at beating ourselves up and shaming ourselves. And again, moving through it. Walk on something. If you need to make a decision, take a walk. Get out of your head, get into your body. Now, if you want more, let me know. I've got my 90-day program that is 30 days of journal prompts, the 30 somatic processing videos, the 30 meditations, the 30 workout videos that you have access to forever. Because I don't ever want you to feel like, oh, I'm doing a 90-day program and I have to do it in 90 days. You can start, you have access to it. You can start, holidays happen, summer vacations happen, trauma happens, event happens, then you pick it up again. Something else happens, you can restart your 90 days anytime. As part of the program, I have a 90-day series of emails. You don't get an email every day. You get it at the start of each week, letting you know, this is what you do this week. This is what you do this week. You can reach out to me and say, start it now. Or I've totally lost it. Start it again in February for me. Awesome. You can have that series to remind you as many times as you need it. If you want to do it on your own, you can totally do it on your own. I am doing a discount for the 90-day program for $208. So you have access to everything forever for $208. If you want me, 15-minute chunks of me just once a month saying, let's talk about what's going on. Let's do some accountability. I'll reach out to you, send me an email on Thursday, do this. That's $347. So think about it. I am not one of the people that's like, you have to do it by midnight tonight. It doesn't work that way. That's fake pressure and that's sleazy. If you're interested in doing it now, do it now. If you want to do it later, do it later. If you want to buy it now because it's on sale and then say, Laura, start the email sequence June 1st, bueno, we can do that. But I just want you to think about that. And if you're like, nope, I'm going to practice what we learned over this week and see how it goes for me first, I welcome you to practice it and see how it goes. Because this is a skill that I think every human should have, especially women, because living in a patriarchal system, we are the ones who have been told that our way of doing things is wrong, that our voice is not valid, that we should be stronger, that we should be more decisive, that we should be more masculine, that we should be tougher. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is the feminine way of evolving. Evolution evolves. And I've used the baby analogy several times before, but it's such a perfect one. It takes 9 months to grow the baby. Once you get the baby out, it takes a long time for that baby to grow. Evolution happens. It's not an overnight thing. And we are creative beings. And we create, and creation is a process. Creation is an evolution. And it's just a mindset shift to think about your own habits and beliefs and behaviors as an evolution. You are evolving from this person to this person. How do you evolve? By going in a spiral. It's not a linear journey. If you think about, there's the chasm. Here's the, land. Here's the land. Here's the chasm in the middle. You don't just throw a line over and say, ta-da, the bridge has been built. You put a board down, you put a board down, you put a board down, you do the support system, you do the support system, you put a board down, it's this process of going over. And then sometimes you put a board down and it falls. And then you have to figure that out. You have to redo it. It's such a process. And it's just that mindset shift that change is evolution. Evolution takes a long time. Evolution is a combination of the internal and the external. And it's being gracious with yourself. Getting support when and where you need it. giving yourself a rest when and where you need it, and figuring out all 500 ways not to do something before you finally find the way that you can do it. And what I want to conclude with today is just with a tiny, not really sort of a meditation, but more of a visualization. And I just want you to get comfortable. And you don't have to close your eyes, but just look down. And when you change who you are, it changes everything around you. And as you were just getting in your body and in your mind, I want you to think about all of the things around you that will be different when you are different. All of the things around you that will be different when you are different. And sometimes it can be something like, my space will be more organized. It will be more simplified. The kinds of clothing that I wear will be different. The things that I do with my free time are different. The kinds of conversations that I'm having with other people will be more stimulating and enlivening. I will be smiling more. My face will be more lit up. There'll be more laughter. Think about all of those shifts around you that will happen. And then also think about those shifts within you that will happen. And as you are just visualizing yourself as you wish to be, I want you to see the blocks, the things that you need to release as articles of clothing. Like, I'm wearing a puffy parka of grief. Or, wow, this is crazy, but I've got like a dog leash and collar on me and I'm being led around. Or right here on my head is like this hat, like this hat of old-fashioned womanhood, and that I have to be like the church lady. And wow, that's interesting. Why am I wearing that? These shoes are too heavy. They're slowing me down. I can't run with these heavy shoes on, or these, whatever it is. And I want you to allow yourself to be surprised. Be surprised by what you're wearing that is incongruent with this new environment that you're in. You might not need a puffy parka in this warm environment. And I want you to feel the alignment between the evolution of who you're becoming inside and how that aligns with the environment around you. And how these articles of clothing are the things that feel wrong and awkward. You're not wrong or awkward. You're right. In your environment, your newly created environment, that's right. It's just these things you were holding on to, these things that you were wearing are still holding you back. And because embodiment is important, I want you to use your hands and to take off whatever it is, to pantomime, like, I'm getting rid of this hat. I'm unbuckling this collar. I'm slipping out of this coat. These pants, oh, the button is digging into my waist. I am taking them off. I am getting rid of these shoes. And I just want you to do it. And then when it's done, just feel how fresh it feels. And again, feel the congruence between your inner body, your inner experience, and the external environment that is becoming all around you as you evolve on the inside. And then the last thing I want you to imagine or visualize a checklist in your brain. This is the cycle. This is the spiral that you go through. Identify, set the intention. Unify the whole brain, conscious and subconscious. Meditate to slow down thoughts and to make a choice. Move through the resistance by taking things off, using your body, dancing, setting yourself free. And then by getting really good at repeating that process. You know the steps. Take a deep breath. Come back. How do you feel?
Good.
Good. All right. We are done for today. I will send you this video tonight. There's some other great links in it. Let me know if you've got any questions. And other than that, thank you. I just want you, for you, to think about the nuggets that you got this week in 5 days. And imagine what it might be like if you gave yourself 90 days. 5 days, 90 days. And just sit with that. It's not hard. It's not hard. Use these steps, cycle it through, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
You're welcome. Have a really good weekend, both of you, and
Yes.
enjoy your anniversary, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Yes. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank
Yep.
you.
Bye, ladies.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.